my next guest joining me tonight on Punky's Mixtape is coming out of Berlin, Germany. Our actual first guest that we're interviewing from Germany on the show, and I'm very excited about it. I would like everybody to welcome Gregor McEwan. How are we doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Oh, thank you for coming and joining us. This is fantastic.
Pleasure.
We actually checked out one of your music videos a little over a month ago. But for my mixtapers that may not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your music.
Well, I'm from Berlin, Germany, and I'm kind of singer-songwriter, but influenced with many sub-genres, I guess. It's like a bit of Britpoppy or post-rock or movies. I got a movie score song. Some are a bit dancey, like Chemical Brothers dancey, I guess. So it's quite, for a singer-songwriter, it's quite open to other musical genres.
And that's what I've been noticing that a lot, especially with like individuals like yourself and other singer-songwriters. They're really just pulling in different facets from different genres and creating their own sound. You know, with yourself, you've got kind of folk influences and some pop influences, some alt rock, even some metal influences, which absolutely love. You know, so when did you get started doing this?
I guess I started around about 10 years ago, and then before I got a whole band lineup thing, and it was like, I started writing songs when I was 16, I guess, and then I started the band with 18, and then just like daily jobs, everyone's doing his daily job and become a parent, and so then I did this solo thing, and
I actually can completely relate to that, being in bands for years, and then friends, they get married and they have kids, and then the daytime job starts to kick in, and that's actually why I went solo myself. So I totally understand that entirely, you know. And it's I do miss playing music with other people, don't get me wrong there, because I love the collaboration, but there is something about the freedom that you have being a solo artist and just seeing where the road takes you. You know, there's no limitations whatsoever. You just go into it and create exactly what it is that you want at the end of the day. And I think that's incredibly liberating.
Yeah, I love it too. It's sometimes it's like I also do the shows I play solo, and sometimes it's like, I want it sounded like it's on the record. So that's a bit, although I got many effects and different microphones and samples and stuff like that, but it's sometimes I miss being in a band for it sounds like it's the original idea was, and it's miss this kind of friends on tour thing when you're touring. So but when you're somewhat like a band leader, you're also a tour manager, and we have to get off the hotel, go to the next city. It's a 4 hours ride. Come on. So, and it's kind of easier to tour solo.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, you know, and especially for when you are the band leader, you know, and kind of taking a little bit more of the responsibility, you know, like, after the club or the venue, you know, you got to get to, next spot on tour, you know, especially here in the States. I mean, people, they'll drive all night. They'll drive, 17, 20 hours in between gigs to get to the next one,
so,
which is wild. But then you gotta have to pull be the grown up and be like, all right, I'm gonna be the one that drinks less, and then I get to watch everybody else kind of have a little bit too much fun, you know. And when you're running solo, you don't have that, but you're definitely right about that camaraderie on the road, you know, just that shared experience. And then nevertheless, just like the kind of the hive mind feeling you get when the synergy is perfect in a live venue and you're playing with a full band, you know. Being solo is nice, but nothing can really compare to just that energy that's created, especially at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe I have to do it for festivals. Festivals with a band and club gigs solo. That would be
See,
cool.
now you're on
As
to
soon as
something
we
there.
can play again live, maybe.
Kind
Hopefully.
of do the local bar scene and stuff like that, so it builds up a name. So when you do play at a big festival, you got like an extra special treat for the crowd.
Yeah,
I like that idea. So I'm curious, how has the Berlin music scene been affected with everything that's happening with COVID and the lockdowns internationally?
It's not just Berlin scene; it's like the entire German music scene. It's like, yeah, they somehow try to do some, yeah, songwriter gigs or spoken words stuff, like with 1 meter 50 distance between the audience, or maybe couples and registration. Yeah, in the beginning it was like um, uh, cinema for vehicles. How is it called? Autokino. It's in
Like
German. It's
a
Autokino.
drive-in, yeah, like drive-in
Yeah,
concerts.
and that was kind of disgusting. And yeah, now they try to start slowly, but as it's becoming autumn or fall now, yeah, I guess the infections will rise up again, and it's quite difficult. And it's the thing is, when I totally understand what they are doing, but when I look at like people are going to holiday and then the completely packed plane or in the railways and stuff like that, it's like, okay, so why can't we do a show for maybe 100 people and sitting next to each other, and we have maybe 2 breaks, and they're maybe wearing masks, same as they do in planes. And yeah, it's not allowed here. So yeah,
And
that's the thing I don't understand, because it's like, I understand that it's important to take care as long as we don't have the vaccine, but yeah, some parts of the society where they have more lobby are treated much better.
And you're right. You're absolutely right, because it's something that we're seeing here in the States as well. Is that you have, and especially public transport and stuff like that, or like any commercial flights or anything like that, everybody's just crammed in. We've even seen it at different presidential rallies and at events, completely unmasked next to each other, no social distancing whatsoever. And then we just saw at the Rose Garden event a few less than 2 weeks ago, was a super spreader for the White House, and that's obviously how supposedly Donald Trump ended up getting COVID. So we're seeing, I know, we're seeing like there's all these regulations, and then it seems like there's certain groups that they feel that they're above it, or they're separate from it, or they think that they're just not susceptible to it, or even worse, they simply don't care. So it'd be nice if there was an option, when done safely, in order to do some live music again. We've seen in some good success doing limited numbers for outside performances. Large distances between stage, band members, people in mask, and doing it completely outside. And it's been successful, and there's been several events here in Maine done that way, and there's been zero repercussions because as people, the general respect level was there, and I think that's something that you see more in the music community than, especially, I mean, as compared to politics, absolutely, so
it's been the same here. I got some outside gigs this year, and I guess next year there will be even more, so because that's safe. You can do some outside gigs, so it's safe to do for the local promoters. And yeah, I'm also working for a booking agency here and doing a booking for some bands, acts, and it's so frustrating. I just delayed shows for the second time already, or maybe for the third time. Oh, it's so frustrating, but it's the way it has to go. So yeah. But I'm definitely counting on those outdoor shows for next year. So yeah.
And I think you and several artists are absolutely in the same boat, you know, especially where, you know, a lot of singer-songwriters or bands. I mean, that's for some, that is your primary income. That is your main source of revenue. And just like many other people, they're shit out of luck right now and they're unable to perform. And they're really dependent on, you know, grassroots movements with pushing merch and CD sales and downloads and stuff like that, just to try to make a difference. I mean, so many people lost thousands upon thousands of dollars that are independent artists because they were planning big tours this year.
Yeah, and it's the one thing in music business where you can make money. It's the fees and not the fucking streaming revenue. So because it's shit, so it's like 0.002 euros. So fuck it. So you have to play live to come through this time of COVID. So yeah, somehow.
We can only hope that people can, you know, use their better judgment in order to get through this together. You know, and we've seen that, you know, in so many other larger nations around the world, you know, just as big in the United States, and they don't even have, you know, 25% of the numbers that we have here, you know. So it's disheartening in that regard to be here, but it's good to see so many other people around the world be able to champion together and find a way to get through this for their commonality.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
But so this year, a lot of people were in similar boats. They had tours planned or they released brand new albums, much like yourself. You've, despite everything happening with COVID, you've maintained pretty busy schedule. You've had several releases this year, releasing several singles. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's like a concept thing. Just released an springtime EP, and with 4 songs are included, and every song came as a single and with an own video, and then the second one, third one, fourth one, and then when it's like completed, then the springtime EP came out. And now the same is happening with autumn or fall. I guess the third one is out already, and next in 2 weeks, then the fourth one and the autumn fall EP will be out, and then 2021 I'm just doing a spoiler because nobody knows it here in Germany. And 21, it's summer and winter coming out, and then it's the whole 4-season thing, as it's my 4th record. So and it will be out on a double LP on vinyl, and you got 1 season on each side of the LP.
Oh,
so
that's
if it's
really
summer,
exciting.
Yeah. So
that's
the idea.
I'm slowly getting back into collecting vinyls again. So you're definitely going to have to let me know when that's released, because those are the types of things, you know, that I really look for in an artist. It's like just being creative, being a little bit innovative of what they're doing. And then I always love concept albums, you know, matching to what's happening in the world or anything with a major theme. And I'm very excited about that. Very excited about that.
We've been releasing the springtime EP in I guess mid-March. The first singles came out, and then the whole COVID thing happened, and it was like, come on, fuck it, we don't stop it. So let's go through this kind of concept time thing, and So we will see. Maybe I do some summer shows in 21 with the springtime and the summer EP, as it's in kind of outdoor concept. Maybe this works out. We'll see.
Be able to finally, you know, play that out and share it with people.
Yeah,
which would be nice. Yeah. So
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your most recent release with the fall EP.
Yeah, I guess the first single was called has been called Halloween Costume, and it was what you meant with that kind of heavy metal ending to it, because I thought it fits to Halloween somehow, to have it a bit metal and dark and yeah. it's a kind of Van Halen tapping solo. So rest in peace to Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, and that came out as a surprise for everybody with Eddie Van Halen passing just earlier last week.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the second one is like a folky tune, really traditional singer-songwriter folk, I guess, indie folk. And the third one, which is out since last Friday, it's kind of from my Britpop influences, like Oasis, Beatles, Across the Universe style, a bit like, yeah. And the next one will be quite mellow and dark with really low detuned vocals and flatter vocals and stuff like that.
Oh.
So it's some. I try that it fits to Autumn Fall. So yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting. And it sounds like, your influences are scattered, but it seems very uniform throughout. If you were to just say like, oh, the Beatles influence and metal influence and stuff like that to it, someone that hasn't checked you out yet might seem like, wait, the Beatles and metal? Be like, oh, trust me, when you take a listen, you'll absolutely understand why you're so influenced that way. And I want to jump.
It has to be somehow, I guess, because when the summer will be out next year, there has to be some Beach Boys influence, of course, because it's summer, so it has to be. So and it's not that it's not that you limitate yourself so much. It's like, yeah, okay, I take a little bit of this band or this act, and this works fine for this season, and yeah, it's not getting, so you're not getting bored.
Well, I think having that eclectic inspiration is huge. I feel it's like I'm running my wheels in the mud if I keep listening to the same thing. And I've always been listening to so many different genres of music my entire life. And that's why all of my musical career has been very varying, because I've always wanted to try something different, always try something new, and just take the risk with it. That's one of the advantages of being solo, is that you can just totally take those risks and try it. And that brings me especially to the song Halloween Costumes, where, it's kind of your almost slightly traditional folk, alt rock, indie sort of track. But then the metal ending out of seemingly nowhere, but it works perfectly. Like you said, you have the Van Halen finger tapping on there. And on top of that, the video is a ton of fun. I'm excited to be able to share it with everybody tonight here on the show. But as a cosplayer, somebody that loves Halloween, as you can see, more, it's my favorite time of the year here, that it's an opportunity for people to put their creative sides, completely out there and just have fun, let go of inhibition for a night and just be themselves. And I think, to me, Halloween can bring out the best in people. So we're truly trying to embrace it all month long, because I think we need that now more than ever. So very excited to be able to check out a good chunk of the fall EP. But you had mentioned earlier about influences like the Beatles and stuff. Now I'm curious, what are your personal influences as an artist?
Musically,
musically, or just life as well.
Yeah, life as well. It's kind of combination between the countryside and the sea and the city, and it's like different influences from nature somehow, or urban life or stuff like that. And musically, I grew up with all those Britpop bands like Oasis, Blur, Pulp, and then later on, kind of early emo post bands like Get Up Kids, The Weaker Dance, Jimmy Eat World, and then singer-songwriters like Damien Rice or Glenn Hansard, and I kind of try to pick the best of everyone and
just put into my music. Taking a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, and I think it's what we all do as musicians. You know, you learn other people's songs and styles, and then you slowly start to incorporate it into your own, and you end up with your own voice and doing your own thing, which is exciting.
I guess I because of that early influenced Britpop kind of period, I got this kind of songwriting already in me. It's like I'm just writing like those chorus like Oasis style and stuff like that. So it's quite cool to do some subgenres, not to be in that one genre. So yeah, I guess maybe sometimes it's like, oh, I have to, a song works on Spotify or wherever and got many plays or streams, and then I think, oh, maybe that's the way. But I would get bored if I do just the same thing all the time, just like moody, melancholy, chill tunes on acoustic guitar, although it works. So no, just do a heavy metal ending.
Like cafe music, just to be playing light kind of, mid-afternoon cafe music.
One of my tunes is it's called On Her Radar, and it's on German official Kaffee House, which means coffee house music Spotify playlist, and that's why it got the most streams there on Spotify, because it's on the playlist. Nobody's listening to it, I guess. It's because it's just a background music playing. So I don't think it's you're focused on it when you're listening to coffee house playlist. So yeah.
But usually when you're putting that on, it's first thing in the morning and you're having your coffee or your tea. So maybe it needs to be on like a brunch mix instead of just a coffee mix.
Yeah, early. Wake up early mix. Yeah.
Definitely can see, especially like the Britpop influence in your singer and songwriter. And you mentioned Blur, is that's a band here that got a little bit recognition. Like they started to build up, but obviously when he went and started the Gorillaz, that's when things really changed for him as an artist and becoming the international superstar that he is now. But even I remember being in high school and hearing Blur for the first time, and my very first band, we actually used to open up our sets with Song 2. Little 15-year-old me on vocals, and the biggest pair of Jankos that you've ever seen, because it was like the year 2000. But Blur will always hold a very special place in my heart, and they're just like one of many kind of that phenomenal Britpop kind of proto-punk sort of bands, that so fortunate that bands like Gang of Four and like the Membranes kind of paved the way for that years ahead of time, with that influence. So I always got to give love to Blur. They don't get enough credit. They really don't. I think it's my second album is Coffee and Cigarettes. Always love that song. So
I mean, Coffee and TV.
Oh, Coffee and TV, thank you. Coffee and TV. I always had a cigarette with it when I was a smoker, so I just always assumed coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah, cool video also.
Very cool. But he's always been kind of like 2 steps ahead of everything, and I think that's why his career's been so successful.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm curious of, having all these different influences as a singer-songwriter and as a soloist, if you were given the opportunity to be able to work with anybody, to maybe a duet or a split album or any sort of collaboration, is there anybody that you would like really aspire to be able to, or to want to work with?
Well, I guess that's a difficult question, I guess.
Oh, it's so loaded. It really is. It could go either way.
I'd like to work with some of those, maybe more into the movie score thing, maybe with Hans Zimmer.
See, that's interesting. It's actually a point that I wanted to write down, is that your music has a very cinematic feel to it. It almost feels like it's pulling, some of them are right from the soundtrack of a movie. Do you find that as a big influence for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like Ennio Morricone or Zimmer or the one how is its name? Johan Johansson with the Rival soundtrack. And yeah, but who else? I'm just thinking. Maybe the what's his real name? The brother from Billie Eilish, Phineas. Do you know him?
It's like
Because
right on
production-wise, to my mind, production-wise, those Billie Eilish tunes are amazing. It's an amazing producer, so that would be a cool producing.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, and then I don't know. Maybe everybody else too close. I guess. I'm thinking of like No Gallagher, but that's too close, I guess. So it would be kind of more interesting. Yeah.
I mean, although working with the Gallagher brothers would be nice, you know.
Now it would be back in the 90s. It would have been a blast.
No, you probably would have got in between one of their infamous fist fights because they're known to brawl, those soccer hooligans. They really are. And people that don't know what we're talking about the Gallagher brothers from Oasis. Oh man. Now that, and like I believe with Billie Eilish, I know that her brother does a lot of work with her tracks and stuff like that and helping produce. I can't think of his name right now. And then
he's also an artist, and as an artist he's called Phineas.
Oh, is that what his name is?
I don't know it's his actual name, but as an artist it's Phineas. Wow. And yeah, production-wise, it's so interesting.
Yeah,
they are always using autotune as a kind of instrument, not like this share belief.
Instead of the way that they approach it, they're actually using it as an instrument as compared to a band-aid to cover up for lackluster vocals, and it's been predominant. You can tell the difference, when they're actually using it to accent. I forget which track it was from Billie Eilish, but I saw the Pro Tools breakdown of all the vocal harmonies, and it was like something like 16 different tracks of layered in without auto-tuner, and the production value is insane, and it's taking small breaths, and the way that he produces his tracks, it's something to really aspire to. It's got a really refreshing look at the process, and really, especially for a singer-songwriter, really showcasing that and doing, amazing tricks with post-production, and of course, just the natural talent as well.
Yeah. So production-wise would be him, and like arranging orchestra, and that Hans Zimmer would be amazing.
That would be really cool. Hey, you never know. Put it out into the universe. You never know what happens here.
I got one song. It's called Untitled from the last record. It's like kind of I have to send it to him because it's somehow a rip-off of its Interstellar soundtrack. So maybe can you come to my master class? Come on, little Gregor.
Now, are you producing your own stuff as well, or are you kind of writing and then kind of handing off production work?
I got it's kind of co-producing thing. I got a studio here in Berlin, and where we're doing it with a guy called Tees, and he's kind of the sound engineer, and we're doing mixes together, and I got all those arrangement and ideas in mind. So yeah, it's like I got an idea. How can we do it? What can we do with the EQs, and what kind of plug in, and yeah. And
that's awesome that you're really involved with the process as well. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. There was also on Halloween costume. There was how is it? Bad Guy from Billie Eilish, where she uses those flatter vocals.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we kind of created on when the title is dropped. When it's like Halloween costume, it's Halloween. So the same thing.
Little vibrato to it.
The cool thing about it is, in nowadays you have so many YouTube tutorials. You can just, how did Billie Eilish do those flatter vocals. Okay, here's a tutorial from Logic or Pro Tools, and yeah, you just can kind of copy it. So yeah, it's cool.
I was just telling to a buddy earlier this week, who's starting a new stream, and he's like, I don't know where to start. And I sent him a bunch of links, and I'm like, I live by YouTube tutorials, you know? Like if it wasn't for YouTube tutorials and Google, like my life would be 90% more of a mess than it is right now. Like I'll get up in the morning and I'm like, shit, how am I going to do this? I'm like, you know what? I'm sure there's somebody else that's already asked this question, so I'll just type it in. I'm like, oh, here we go. So
we even repaired our washing machine by using a YouTube tutorial, so it also worked out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am technical, but I'm not a mechanic. So like a buddy and we replaced the alternator in my car, which seemed like a very daunting task, but actually took like an hour, you know? And I was like, oh, this is much easier than I was building it up in my head, you know? So I gotta thank all the people that think to put the random videos like that on YouTube, because they're incredibly helpful, hands down.
Totally, hands down, you know, yeah.
It was the same thing when I got like my my Ibanez with a Floyd Rose and a Fru body for it, and having to set up and tune with the Fru body with the drop tuning. And I was like, all right, there's all these screws, you've got the bridge tuners, and I'm like, this is a lot. So I didn't even know where to begin when I got my Ibanez years ago with that Floyd Rose. It really intimidated me. But luckily, thanks to the good folks at YouTube, and somebody like, no, like, this is what you do. This is how you restring your guitar. This is where you pull from for your tuning. Now it's like riding a bike, you know? So gotta appreciate those moments when we can.
Cool.
So I'm curious here. You when we were chatting before we started the recording, you were talking about touring through the states and things like that. You've been doing this now for a little over a decade. What moments really stood out to you while being on the road? Any special show memories or some event that happened while touring that just stood out more than others?
Oh, it's every single show got its own kind of atmosphere. So I don't. What I still got in mind is like when I was supporting Angus and Julia Stone here in Berlin. I was, yeah, because they just played a new record, and to selected audience and to the press, and it was like, yeah, I've been ready, and it was really cool, and it was at the merch, doing the merch, and they don't got the record with them already because it wasn't finished, and I was the only one who got a record, and I sold so many records because everyone wanted to have kind of memory from that night, or kind of, yeah, stuff like that. And it was so cool to sell so many records, and I even asked my former roommate, hey, can you go home and we need more CDs, bring them, come on. Luckily it was in Berlin. So yeah, that's the one I remember, which was quite funny. And yeah.
Well, it's also a really powerful thing when you're in that moment and you're so connected. You have such an amazing turnout and that connection with the crowd, and then you're just selling out of your merch every which way to send a roommate home in order to go get more albums. You know, that's something that we don't hear a lot of on the show. And so that's an amazing moment when they do happen, you know. It's that the happenstance of the right place at the right time with the right crowd, and it almost feels like the universe just kind of lines up around you to give you this perfect moment, and they're few and far between.
Yeah, it's in the beginning, Angus Stone looks quite similar to me, and in the beginning I was like, that's not the new record. I'm just a support act, and I couldn't believe that everyone was buying my CDs. So I'm not him. I'm just a supporting act. So.
Oh, that's wild. Oh. Now, when you traveled over to the United States to tour, what was that like?
Oh, that was just my girlfriend is a painting artist, and we were just doing like an exhibition tour, yeah, and doing some of her tunes. She's also a musician, and doing some of her tunes. Yeah, but it was quite good. It was shortly before the Trump election, the first one. I hope it's just the first one.
Same.
And yeah, everybody in those kind of artist bubble was saying, "Oh, we won't get elected. You won't get elected." And when we came back, I guess 1 week later, what the fuck? Yeah. So
And
that was
everything just flipped upside down around here.
Yeah.
Seemed like we took like one major step forward, and then we took 50 steps back. Oh, it's not an easy spot being in the United States right now. That's for sure. So I'm always kind of curious when people's impression when they first come over to the States. So you came over during the Obama administration.
Yeah. In the end of, yeah.
On the end of. But still, that must have been a lot of fun.
Everybody was nice to us, and that was like, what I remember is that everywhere in the States there was a cooling system. I don't know, it's not a thing here in Germany or Europe, and it's so cold. I just got like one sweater with me, and everywhere, it's fucking cooling system and I remember that there were, I don't know the English word for chloride, I guess. There was chloride in the water.
Chlorine, yes.
Chlorine,
yes.
Yeah. And that's, here we're drinking water. So it was like, okay, I won't drink this. So.
Yeah, and that's something that's very predominant in the cities and stuff. Like where I live in the middle of the woods, like we have a well, we have natural drinking water. So it is a huge difference.
Okay, there's even fluoride for the teeth.
They put fluoride in the water. That's a whole other issue here in the United States as well. Where some a good portion of the country all have clean drinking water, but then there's places like Flint, Michigan, who haven't had clean water in almost a decade. So it's a really hard issue. Where I live, I'm incredibly fortunate that I live in Maine, and the natural drinking water here is phenomenal. But we also have several issues with Poland Spring coming in and fracking different natural springs. They bought out a large portion of different towns in like the Rumford area by us, and a lot of local companies had to shut down their water distribution because of a major conglomerate coming in and taking over the entire thing. That's a big issue here in Maine right now, is Poland Springs overstepping. So it's interesting. It's something that, a lot of people, they take for granted every day, of having clean drinking water, as other people are just fighting, especially, you think in the United States and, a civilized, we're anything but civilized right now, but in a civilized, wealthy nation, that drinking water's, an everyday luxury, you would think it would be safe for everybody, but it's not the case right now. So
same with healthcare. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Healthcare or just individual rights.
The first move that clown does, like, we quit that Obama care idea. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that he stepped forward, he's been deregulating everything from the Obama administration, and and it seemed even in the debate, the vice president debate, it seemed like another issue, and they just talk. Even Senator Harris was talking about how the Trump administration has just slowly worked away all the major steps that was taken over those 8 years, with having same-sex marriage being legalized. We're starting to see that, they're attempting to backroll that. And on top of that, even worse, we're starting to see movement to to take away Roe versus Wade, for a woman's right to choose what happens with her body, which is insane. These are barbaric philosophies in order to hold on to, when love is love, and a woman's, right to do with her body is her choice. It shouldn't be regulated by the government,
Yeah.
We're backsliding here on a lot of these social issues, which is incredibly unfortunate.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. The biggest thing is to go out and get involved. You can sit there and scream about it till you're blue in the face all day long, but unless you actually go and get involved and actually vote, then we're not going to see changes made. But that's something that we've been dealing with now for a little while, and it's hard, especially when we have a leader that's so willingly siding with dictators and so willing to throw away our allies that we've built over the last 40, 50, 60, 70 years. So interesting place to be here in the United States right now. I keep telling my friends in Canada to adopt Maine because we're so close to the border and just to sneak us right in there.
I keep telling you.
If you just want to adopt Maine, that's fine. You can take Washington State, you can take Oregon, California, New Hampshire, and Vermont. We'll all go. We'll be much happier that way. So before we part ways, so you've got one more track coming out from the fall EP, which will be coming out here in just a little over a couple of weeks. We're going to check out a good portion of that EP right now. Might even check out a little bit of the spring EP tonight. We never know what's in store on the mixtape. But any parting words before we say goodbye?
Get to hear the next single. It's called O2O. And it will be out on the 12th of October.
Oh.
And what else? Go voting.
Yes, absolutely.
Clown
Get
out
and
of the
vote.
White House.
And it's more than just national elections, your local elections, your state elections. You got to get out and get involved.
Okay. But that's what's in the media here in Germany. So yeah.
Yeah, I can only assume what some places around the world thinks of us right now, but some of us here are fighting diligently in order to maintain, a positive status quo.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm excited to be able to check out a good portion of the album. I know a lot of the mixtapers fell in love with your music video from a few weeks ago, and I'm sure that they're going to fall even more in love after we do a deep dive tonight. So thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you too. Have a nice day.
You too.
You go to work now.
Yes.
You go to work now.
I'm going to go to work
early
now.
In the morning. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it's the evening for you, and it's actually 1 PM for me. So
okay.
Thank you so much. My guest tonight has been Gregor McEwan out of Berlin, Germany. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Bye.